Hello and welcome to Destiny Digits. I am she and she can see. This is the expression number 6 reading. Thank you to all the subscribers. Thank you to the old, the new, and those that are just stopping through. So expression 6. 6 is in numerology, you guys are the caretakers, right? Like you're the family people. You can hold down the household like no other. You have no problem nurturing and giving. You're very just loving and compassionate. And so when we're talking about your expression number, we're talking about your potential. Imagine a mountain, right? And the way that you can get to the top of that mountain is by vibing in the energies of 6. And so a 6 literally means that you're sympathetic, you're balanced, you're compassionate, you're stable. Now on the flip side, at times we have that savior complex, that being overly protective, being predictable, kind of suffocating. And so, energies aren't bad or good, but there's definitely a spectrum, right? So this reading is going to kind of talk about where you are on that mountain, right? Where you are when we're talking about your ability to get to the top of your potential as a 6. So this is kind of like a progress report. It talks about where you've been, what you're leaving behind, and kind of like what you're moving to. So let's look at the first row. So the first row talks about what's over and done with. The first card that comes out is Ask for Guidance. It says, dreams offer wisdom beyond logic. Tonight, ask a question before bed. In the morning, write down a dream and look for the answer. Now, consistently, many of us may not dream. Many of us may dream, but we may not remember them well enough to find an answer or to even record what took place. And so in the event you're not a dreamer, you can't remember them, what is it that you really want to know? What is guidance that you're truly looking for? Ask prior to sleeping, see if something comes to you, but nonetheless be able to quiet yourself to hear, right? So 6, right? That's the expression number we're doing. Set your timer for 6 minutes. For 6 minutes, sit in silence and see what comes to you, and write that down in the event that you cannot dream and gather information, right? And so that's our first thing. So what is over and done with? Well, you are not an island, right? You're here, you're connected to the physical world, but also the spiritual world. And so you have the capacity to tap in and to get the guidance that you're seeking, to get the answers that you're looking for. And so no longer are you thinking that you're doing this alone. You are realizing that this is a part, that you are a piece of a bigger story, both spiritually, physically, and cosmically, right? So what I truly love is when things confirm, when we have synchronicity. So beneath the Ask for Guidance card, we have Judgment, but we have it 2 times from 2 different decks. And so Judgment means that either you have called judgment on self, you feel like your life has literally called judgment on you, and you are forced to make a change. You are forced to respond in some kind of way. Sometimes our spiritual team can just be like, hey, get it together. This isn't you. Let's get in alignment. And so the Judgment card is about being in alignment with what you came here to do, right? It's about putting your soul on the right path. And so for Judgment to come out in the spot for what's over and done with, I feel like what's over is the fact that you're not going to be operating in something that's not you. You are really attempting to put yourself on the path of your purpose, right? And so the Judgment card says, I understand that everyone has their own unique path and challenges. And so that includes you, but because we're talking about a 6 in the caretaker, in the lover, and sometimes someone who has the potential to like suffer from the savior complex, right? Not only are you caretaking for self, sometimes you neglect self at your own detriment because you want to make sure that everybody is good, everybody's comfortable, everybody's got everything they need. Like that's just the energy you operate in. But I think that this means that no longer are you willing to sacrifice self for the betterment of others. And so this means that, look, I have my own path and others have their path too, but I don't have to sacrifice myself to make sure that everybody is where they need to be. What's most important at the lover that I am is making sure that I am in alignment, because when I'm good, when I'm in the right place doing the right thing at the right time, I am of better service to those I care most about. Okay? And so No longer are you going to ignore your path, your purpose, or what divinely you are being pushed to do, right? And in order to do that, you have to say, everybody has their path, and I have my path. And there are boundaries, right? So this is kind of like making sure that your boundaries are healthy, but putting yourself first, okay? So no more are you going to ignore you for the betterment of others. Now, space number 2 talks about what's over, but it still lingers on. First card says, see your emotions as teachers. Emotions can be vehicles for transformation, whether joyous or challenging. They can teach you how to overcome fear and cultivate compassion. So imagine that every time we feel an emotion, it's almost like reading the dashboard of a car. All of those lights are indicators of the condition of the car. And certain lights mean that adjustments are required. Other lights mean that everything is smooth sailing, keep going as you are. And so this is almost asking you to step outside of yourself and not ignore you, right? We're not going to ignore us. So what is over? Well, we're not going to ignore ourselves anymore, but we still have to learn how to become comfortable with our emotions. You know, we don't want to have an emotion and have a feeling and pitch a tent in that. Emotions are fluid and they change, and they are not required to be the same every day in every situation. And so this is about you stepping outside of self and almost being an observer in your life, and realizing that if I'm feeling a certain way, it's revealing something to me, right? I don't have to own it and live in it for 5, 10, 20 years. No, I can look at it, I can observe it, I can analyze it, and then I can kind of navigate it, and I can see why this indicator is coming up from within me. Now, beneath see your emotions as teachers, we have the High Priestess. So the High Priestess is like straight up intuition, right? And so this is saying that your emotions are a tool, right? And your intuition is also a tool. And neither of them dominate the other, but these are all tools that you have access to. And so Spirit's essentially saying that when you are going through any type of emotional storm, for good or for bad, it matters not, but when you're going through it, intuitively tap in, step outside of self, connect to self, and find a message hidden in the emotion. Don't take the emotion as Bible. Don't take the emotion as the final fact, the end all be all. This is intuitively saying, what is this telling me? Right? How can I go deeper? How can I tap in? Beneath the High Priestess, we have patience. I accept that everything happens in divine order. Now listen, you're the lover, the caretaker. Like you want things to have a bow on them, right? You want things to be comfortable and just perfect for others and for self, but the divine is in control, right? And so that's where sixes tend to battle, being overly protective, being overly responsible, because at times they kind of carry the weight and the burdens of others. But remember, this is a divine story. This is not our personal story that we are creating. We are kind of just actors in this thing called life, and we all have a role to play. And so when things become too big, this is about stepping outside of that emotion and saying, okay, what role am I supposed to play in this moment? Why am I feeling this? Where is this coming from? It's about analyzing it and then asking those questions without sitting and living in it. So patience says that, one, be patient with self and be patient with life. Allow people to grow, to move, to navigate their own story, and realize that we are all in something that we truly, genuinely have no control over. And so what's over is the fact that you no longer are trying to possess and be responsible for all things. You're realizing that the divine is in control, and we are tools for the divine to make things happen, right? And so this is not carrying things that are not ours. Now, row number 3 talks about what are we heading towards. So we have center yourself, right? It says take a few deep breaths to regain your center. Now you can approach life from a more mindful place. And so you're heading to the position where you understand how to navigate your emotions. No longer are they dominating you, but you just have this place within you that you can go to, that you can retreat to. This place that you hold on to where peace is always prevalent. Peace is stable. Peace is consistent. So we don't have to get lost in ourselves. We don't have to get lost in our emotions and these stories that are unfolding. This is about really making sure that we always have a home base that is solid, a home base that is consistent, right? A home base that allows us to think and to feel from a place that lacks chaos, right? It's stable. Beneath that card, we have the Nine of Cups. The Nine of Cups is literally about fulfillment and joy. And so you're moving to fulfillment and joy because you're now understanding how to navigate self, right? You're not carrying things that aren't yours. And as soon as you release the load and the burden, and as soon as you understand how to package your emotions and how to use them as tools, right? And not allow them to overcome you, like, then we have Nine of Cups. This is where you get to that fulfillment, that joy. You just want to love life and be happy, and like, you literally are love. You want to be balanced, but you also want those that you love and care for to experience that also. And so the Nine of Cups is saying that you're heading towards this space of fulfillment and joy, where you're content, you're fulfilled, you have it all. And it's only because you now understand, one, to ask for guidance. You understand where you begin and others end, right? You're understanding healthy boundaries. You're having patience with yourself and with others, and you're realizing, like, we all have our own story. And so fulfillment comes to you when you better understand how to navigate this world in your own identity, right? And so beneath the Nine of Cups, we have peace. It says, I'm a being of love, and I release all negative energy. Sometimes sixes, you're like a sponge. You carry stuff that's not yours, right? But somehow you have to balance your spiritual life, your physical life, your emotional life. This is about you bringing everything to a balance so that you genuinely are everything you need, and then you can go out and be the things that others need. So that is beautiful, considering that remember, we started talking about your potential being a mountain. So as you climb this mountain, the best way for you to climb it is to be emotionally stable, emotionally secure, to really look at the bigger picture from the aspect of the divine. And fulfillment is yours when you are centered and when you are grounded. And when you make peace your priority, when peace is the goal, then things kind of just settle and work as they should. So card number 4 talks about kind of your expectations. Like, what am I expecting out of this life? My potential is the caretaker, the lover, but what am I expecting, right? So card number 4 reveals to us what we most need, what we are genuinely looking for, even if we're not conscious of it. So we have meditate on the spaciousness of air. It says, when you're stuck, picture yourself in an open, airy space with room to move and breathe. Let yourself feel free and empowered. And so life never guarantees the easy road. Like, we all will have challenges, but the idea is that when those challenges come, you have all the right tools in your toolbox to navigate them and to not let it shake you entirely. And so this says that, like, yeah, I'll be stuck, but I'm expecting to learn how to overcome those moments that feel like major blockages. And so the advice from Spirit is to take a breath, to take a moment, right? And even we're in those life situations where things seem so massive, it's about, like, really making space for us to just exist and to not carry the things that are occurring around us. Beneath this card, we have the World, and that's a beautiful card because it talks about endings, right? So no more are we going to carry the weight and the emotions of others. We're learning how to navigate ourselves amongst the relationships that we have with other people. And so the World card says that when the old begins, the new beginnings that we most need are coming, and those new beginnings are ones of stability and balance. It's where we make peace a priority. It's where we feel free and empowered. We no longer are suffocating or trapped by our stories or the stories of those around us. Beneath the World card, we have Pride. It says, I love myself and I see myself in everyone. And so our relationships with others are truly like mirrors, right? Every relationship we have can reveal something to us about ourselves. And so the way to really be comfortable in the relationships with people is to try and find the similarity. Why is this relationship here? Why is it in my space? What is it revealing to me about me? Right? And those emotions, those are indicators. And so in certain relationships and connections with others, our emotions are going to indicate to us what we most need to learn. Space number 5 talks about, okay, so what am I supposed to learn from this? What is this teaching me? Well, we have forgive yourself. It says, don't become a hostage to the past by berating yourself for your choices. Make amends, forgive your own shortcomings, and keep moving towards a beautiful future. So 6 is, you're learning how to forgive yourself for your perceived failures of the past. Anytime you didn't do right by you didn't do right by others, you feel like, God, I could have made a different choice. I should have made, right? All of this chaos, this gaining balance, this understanding our emotions, this being able to ask for guidance, ask for help, and kind of surrender to the divine story, it's teaching you how to forgive yourself for all the things you did not know, all the things you thought you could control, you attempted to control, but maybe it didn't turn out in the way it was supposed to. But that was the lesson. It was never supposed to turn out as we expected. It was supposed to fail. It was supposed to be a mistake because the lesson is in that, right? Success is not always guaranteed. We need those failures because they actually propel us to success. It's like backwards success. Now, beneath that card, we have the 3 of Pentacles. So this is about collaborating. But Pentacles are talking about those earthly experiences. So this could be work. It could be your creativity. But essentially, it's like saying, listen, the way I express myself in this world, I'm going to have to work with others to make something come to fruition, right? I'm going to have partnerships with people where I get to be my individual self, where my creativity gets to, take the forefront. And so 3 of Pentacles says that I need to forgive myself for maybe the mistakes I made in my relationships and my ability to collaborate and work with others. But now that I better understand how to navigate my emotions, now that I've responded to the judgment call and I'm aligning myself with my purpose, I'm a better team player. I'm a better teammate. I can better navigate others in their life situations because I am doing that in my own life. So now I can be a true asset to others. Beneath the 3 Pentacles, we have denial. It says, I acknowledge my fear, but I replace it with the insight of awareness. And so fear is like, all of those things that we really haven't dealt with are scary to us because we don't understand them. And so when we start to ask questions, when we start to analyze, when we operate from a space of peace and balance, we can bring insight and awareness. That High Priestess card says you got to go deeper. You got to go deeper. We cannot read surface level situations and think that they are what they are. We have to ask more. We have to delve more. We have to silence ourselves when we have to listen, right? Because all of those fears that we have about the relationships, the connections, working with others, expressing ourselves, collaborating in group situations, whether it be for work or personal projects or family, it doesn't matter. It's just saying when I show up in situations with others, I don't want to be afraid of the outcome based on the failures of the past. I really want to have confidence. I really want to feel empowered and free to be me. I don't want to carry stuff that's not mine. I want to show up holistically. I want to bring all of me. But you kind of have to collect the pieces of you that were scattered. And then once you pull yourself together and you really achieve balance, you are the ideal 6. You are the ideal team player and the supporter and the family member and the lover. You are everything you dream of. But there are some things that we ignored out of fear. And so when we ask questions, when we bring insight and awareness to our fears, and we step outside of ourselves to kind of be that observer, we really get to what we get to what we always wanted to get to, right? Even if it's uncomfortable, growth is still promised. So let's look at the bottom of the deck. for these cards? Well, first card says, practice self-compassion. See yourself with loving kindness. Acknowledge your growth as an empath and honor the person you've become. And so an empath, you carry things that are not yours, right? And you carry energy that doesn't belong to you. But why? That is a beautiful gift, and it's a beautiful ability, but it can seem like the biggest burden. It can, if we're not sure how to navigate what we're holding. And so you're understanding how to navigate everything that you are carrying and absorbing for self and also for others. And so be compassionate with self. Talk to yourself as if you are the best friend. You are your best friend. You are your teammate. Nurture yourself in the same way that you work to nurture others. Why is that important? Because that's where you will find your growth. And so after you forgive yourself, the way in which you work to forgive yourself requires a level of gentleness, right? And realize that this is a journey, and the person that you were yesterday or last month or last week is changing all the time. And the amount of change and the amount of growth that you endure depends on your ability to find insight and to bring awareness to the things that scare you, the things that terrify you about others and your relationships. Next one, we have 10 of Swords. So 6 is a 10 of Swords comes after trials and tribulations have almost felt like they've killed you. In the traditional tarot deck, it's a person lying on the ground with 10 swords in the back. You didn't put those swords in your back. Somebody else did. Others did. Other people, relationship, people, places, and things have almost left you for dead, so to speak. But those were lessons. Every one of those swords had to have come. And they had to have caused some type of discomfort or pain because your growth was in that sword. But the beautiful thing is that the 10 means that you're in a new cycle, right? What was is done. Right? Now you've got confirmation that what was is over because you had the World card, but now we have the 10 of Swords, which means that something is completing. So the pain is over, right? Because you've gained awareness, insight, you better understand how to navigate self. And so you know how to put yourself in situations, and you know how to stand opposite others without sacrificing yourself for their betterment, right? So 10 of Swords says, listen, all that mess is behind me, right? I can accept what's here. And I can trust myself and I can trust others again, because this is a new cycle. This is a new time. And so this is about mentally gaining clarity, having insight, really, really paying attention to the truth of all the betrayal or the pain that you've suffered in your connections with others. This is about finding the truth, not living in that emotion, because that emotion will keep you going on that roller coaster. But when you can find the truth about why was my growth in this pain? Why did this grow me? How did this grow me? Why was this necessary? Like, those are the questions you have to ask, but it's only when you are at peace and you have made peace your priority. Next card we have is Discipline, right? And it says, I can accomplish what I set my mind to. So forgiving yourself, really working on balancing your emotions, really consistently asking for guidance and realizing that the divine is the master in this, is what allows you to say, okay, so what am I good at? What is it that I want to do? And then you do that consistently. What brings me joy? What brings me happiness? What brings me peace? I'm going to continue to do that in a disciplined way because I know that it provides me what I need in my life. And so whatever you set your mind to, and remember, this comes after the pain, the betrayal. This comes after those perceived failures and mistakes, which truly were avenues for growth. It's after that you say, okay, in what ways did I lack discipline? In what ways was I not consistent with self and with others? And what is it that I want? And because I can think it, I can have it. Because I can think it, I can create it, I can establish it in my life. But also, as a 6, you are vital in the lives of others. Okay? So expression number 6, I'm hoping that this reading was helpful. Thank you so much for stopping by.